Great. Can you see? You can see the slides that's come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Brilliant. Okay. Well, it's great to see you here. Thanks so much for joining us. It's really important actually for us that we have opportunities to talk about what's going on, to get feedback, and this is one of a number of ways in which we try to do that as an organization. So just as by way of introduction, this is our senior leadership team at RCOT. I'm Steve, I'm the chief exec. We've got Claire here, who's our director of brand and marketing, Karen, who's our director of practice and innovation, Sat, who's our director of people, governance and finance, and Rob, our director of strategy, technology and transformation. And just to say, I don't know whether people have kind of picked up, but actually I'm leaving next month. I'm retiring, and in the interim, Sat will be acting up as CEO with the full support of the team as well, who will all be kind of acting up in different areas. So, and to make sure there's continuity until we know when new CEO is starting. Just to say also, we've got Taya on the call, who's head of campaign. I never know what people. I know what people's names are. Don't know if I know what everyone's detailed titles are, but yeah, Taya is our head of campaigns. We've got Kate, who's our head of governance and compliance. We've got Nikki, who what is your job right now? Head of, is it still the same?
I'm now head of professional development. I was head of communities and connections, but now I expanded to head of professional development.
Head of professional development, brilliant. And we've got Chanel here as well from our events team, who's making sure everything runs smoothly. And I think we might be at some point seeing Sheetal, who's our head of marketing. Brilliant. So that's us. So hopefully we kind of cover, everything that people want to talk about today. Just this is our kind of agenda. So there's a few things that we wanted to share. We wanted to talk about what's happening in the outside world. Karen will talk about external developments. We want to give a few updates about what's happening across RCOT. But we're hoping we can kind of get through that in half an hour or so that we can devote half of the meeting to issues that you want to raise or talk about. And do as we go through, if you want to put questions or comments in the chat, please do that. But then, as I say, we'll have time for a broader discussion at the end. Okay, Karen, do you want to talk about this slide?
Yes, thanks, Steve, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just going to give you a few headlines around external developments. If you're working in England, you will be aware of the announcement by the government that they are going to reorganise NHS England. So we're working with other professional bodies such as CSP, Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists, to highlight the importance of work streams not being lost in this reorganisation, such as effective safe staffing and workforce planning. And we're also supporting members that will be directly affected through Unison and our professional advisory service. There is a huge push around work and health. The government's committed to addressing this because it's affecting productivity and they're committed to growth. So we are responding to the Pathways to Work and Get Britain Working consultations. We've created working groups to support us with this. We've also met with Sir Charlie Mayfield, who is looking at the business side of Get Britain Working, the Minister for Employment, Alison McGovern, and we're in conversation with the DWP about the role of vocational rehabilitation and the role of occupational therapy in supporting disability employment advisors and work coaches. It's about joining up the employment support with health and social care systems, and we see that occupational therapists are well placed to do that. There will be some announcements about pilots shortly. around some of this work. And if you are involved or know of services supporting people to be in employment, please let us know about these, their role, the impact that they're having. And you can do that through hello@rcot.co.uk. Then there is also a consultation going out around SEND provision, and RCOT will be responding to that, but we're also in conversation with the Department for Education about a national template for education, health and care plan assessments. These are the EHCPs. We're also in early discussions about delivering training to SEND tribunal judges and specialist panel members as part of their annual update programme. And we'll want to use these to promote understanding of therapy approaches. Ultimately, we want to ensure that children and young people have EHCPs that accurately reflect their needs and that specify the therapy input required to achieve their meaningful goals and outcomes around education, health and wellbeing. And then finally, all our workforce action plans to support our workforce strategy have been launched, and we've held events in Northern Ireland and Scotland to share these with ministers and elected representatives. And we've also put a question through the Northern Ireland Assembly asking the Minister of Health to detail some action he's taking to reduce occupational therapy assessment times, waiting times in Northern Ireland. So a quick snapshot of what we're doing there.
No, that's great. Thanks, Karen. And yeah, do have a look at the workforce strategy and the relevant action plan if you haven't done that, because I think those are really important documents for us kind of all moving forward. Karen, you're leading all these kind of conversations with important policy makers and decision makers and the like. What's your sense of what kind of cut through we're getting as a profession in these discussions?
I think that where we're positioning ourselves, and we've been doing so for a while, and it really is starting to land, is positioning occupational therapy as being that solution. What they're trying to think about is that we've got lots of different systems, whether it's the hospital system, social care system, primary care system, and none of them are completely linked in, and people are getting lost along the way. So we really are positioning occupational therapy as being one of the professions that can create those links and ensure the system works more effectively. And there is an openness to hearing about what we can do. There's also an openness to consider any pilots, any innovations, any good practice examples as part of building the evidence for finding solutions. So we do keep going out to members, but we really are reliant on working with our members who are experts that are leading services to help us in this conversation. So I think the door is open in a way that it hasn't been for many years. It's now being able to get through that door and make the most of those opportunities by giving examples of where occupational therapy is making a difference.
Brilliant. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, so some of you might want to pick up some of those issues and themes later on in the discussion. So some more kind of general news and updates here. Let's kick off by talking about our digital transformation program that's being kind of rolled out over the next few days and weeks. Claire, do you want to lead on this?
Yeah, will do. Thanks, Steve. So thanks. Hi, everybody. So yes, our digital transformation. Well, what does that really mean? Well, in simple terms, in terms of what our members will see, is it will fundamentally look like a new and upgraded website. But behind the website, we've done a lot of work with our CRM system, with other platforms, which I'll talk about in a moment. But really making sure that actually our website is more of a portal for members that gives you easy access to services in a much more seamless way, and also make sure that actually you can see your personal details within that. You can do more of the fundamental things that you might like to do if you wanted to change category or you had queries about payments, for example. It's about really trying to put you in a better position, understanding exactly what your member offer is, how we engage with you, and how you can engage with us. And it's really rooted in some research we did probably around a year and a half, 2 years ago now, when we asked members actually, how was the offer working for them? What were the things that worked well? What were the areas in which we could do better? And so fundamentally from that research, what we've been trying to create is that new, more user-friendly website. We've also got a communities platform within that. So that will enable all of our members to go onto this particular platform and start engaging and networking with their peers. This is really one of the things that came across as being as something that members were really, really keen on, was that ability to actually collaborate with people or just network with people, talk with people who are working maybe in similar roles in similar settings, and to give that real sense of community that we know can sometimes it can feel a bit isolating if you're an occupational therapist, maybe single occupational therapist in a multidisciplinary team, or working in a more isolated way. And it's a way to really bring all of that together. And as Karin mentioned earlier, in terms of how we're increasingly wanting to work with members as well for their expertise, this is a way for members to share that expertise with each other and for us to work more effectively with you as well. So we're really, really excited about that platform. We've also provided an upgraded digital version of Occupational Therapy News. Now, one of the things that we know from our members is that people love OT News. They love the articles within it, but we have been increasingly getting questions from members about, actually, can I not have this in a digital format? I've got concerns about climate sustainability. Why are we still printing the magazine in so many quantities? So we've done some work around upgrading that. So the new version of the magazine, in its digital sense, it's still a clickable PDF, but it's much, much more accessible for people to use should they need to use screen readers. It's much easier for people to read now on a mobile. And there are more features as well that we're going to be bringing in terms of being able to allow people to spotlight in on particular articles, save articles, comment on articles, etc. And a key feature as well of the new website, when members go on and create their account, is that there's now an ability for members to go in and actually just click whether or not, do you want a print version of OT News, or are you happy just with a digital version? So that's something that we'll be promoting to members as we continue to roll out the digital offer. So as I mentioned, there'll be a portal which will provide more streamlined access to all your RCOT digital services. So we'll have communities, the CPD recording tool, for example, and OT News, all accessible from one member portal. And as I mentioned, that enhanced online member account that will enable you to engage with us in a much easier and more seamless way. Thanks, Steve. Next one. Brilliant. So in terms of how that supports you, one of the things that it will enable us to do by having a more effective portal and having better systems underpinning the content that you look at, the content that you engage with, it also provides us then with a bit more data about how members are engaging with the materials that we're providing. It gives us a much better sense, for example, of how many people are reading OT News, or how many people are engaging with leadership content. And that in turn enables us then to think about the kind of way in which we need to shape services for the future. What is it the members are really engaging with? What can we learn from that? And also, increasingly, how can members tell us what they want to hear about? So it provides us with the basis for providing a much more personalised experience. As I mentioned, it's better and more seamless access to benefits and services on the go. If you're logged into the portal, you will then have access to communities, the CPD recording tool, one very important service I haven't mentioned yet, but the digital library, which will give you access to thousands of resources all through that portal as well. And again, because it's more mobile friendly, you will be able to access that more easily out and about, and if you're not at a desk. Said more user-friendly, accessible and compatible with assistive technology. We've done quite a bit of work around accessibility and accessibility testing. That's going to be a real focus for us because, again, we know that people access the information in lots of different ways and use different technologies for that. So that's something that we've made improvements with. We're still going to be continuing on that improvement journey as well. I mentioned improved data and insight, enabling us to make more evidence-based decisions about future improvements and what members are engaging with and what they're telling us they need more of. And that improved data and insight as well. And particularly, we think we're going to get lots and lots of rich information and insight from the communities platform, as it will in turn enable us to be a much stronger advocate for the profession. It will enable us to actually build much stronger case studies, bring in lots more data in a way that we perhaps haven't been able to date. Thanks, Steve. And so that's been a very whistle-stop tour. But if you want to find out more about that, we're holding some drop-in sessions on those dates. So 12th of May, introducing overall the new benefits. On the 15th of May, we'll be doing a walkthrough of the new website, helping members to orientate themselves with it. On the 19th of May, we're doing a session around making the most of RCOT communities. And then on the 29th, we'll be doing another introducing your new benefits. And we will be recording those sessions as well for members who can't attend those particular times. So a bit of a whistle-stop tour. In terms of getting you onto the new website, if you haven't been onto the website yet, you will be receiving an activation email that will give you easy access into the portal over the next few days and probably the following week. But yes, we'll look forward to hearing what you think about it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Claire. Yeah, so look out for emails. Hopefully they didn't go into your spam or junk folders. So do have a look in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so let's move on to a few other kind of news bits. Hopefully you've seen something about our Members Day, which is combining with our BAOT AGM. So that's going to be held on Tuesday, the 17th of June in Edinburgh. There are tickets for sale for the Members Day. The AGM is free to attend, but I think it's a great opportunity to all come together. People have, I guess, talked quite a lot about lots of online activity over the last few years, and I'm wanting to be able to meet other members, other volunteers face to face. So you can see there's something about the plans for that day, and it'd be great to see you there. And you perhaps saw an email that we sent out yesterday, which talks about our membership fees. So we haven't actually increased our membership fee. Well, we've increased our membership fees once since 2018 by 1.5%. I think that was in 2020, I think. And obviously, you know, as you know, we've had significant inflation over that period. Our costs as an organisation have gone up, but also what members have told us they want to do and achieve, and ways in which they want support have kind of increased as well. So we've tried to kind of manage that all as well as we can to avoid putting pressure on members through increased fees. But we have made a decision this year that we do need to increase fees, and so you can see here in this table how we're kind of doing that. We think we've managed to do this in a way that is fair and is reasonable, and you'll also see here that there are differences. We've spent more time just thinking about the different categories and making sure we've got the kind of incentives in the right place. So actually you'll see there that if you're newly registered, or you will be newly registered, that actually membership fees will come down, because I think we felt that making that transition from kind of students into full membership was a challenge for some people. So this is actually something that needs to be approved by our members. So it is something as part of the AGM discussion and papers, and an opportunity for you to vote on it. Happy to pick up any kind of comments and questions about that in a minute. But I just hope that you'll get a sense that this is fair and reasonable, particularly in light of all the kind of new benefits that we'll be kind of offering. Okay, and then another point about the AGM is that we have spent the last couple of years really trying to modernise our governance arrangements, all the rules around how we're run as an organisation, how members have a say, how the council and the boards work, the difference between BAOT and RCOT. And so there are some changes that, again, those BAOT articles of association in particular need to be kind of voted on by members. I won't go through these. I don't think there's anything that's particularly kind of significant. I think it's all kind of sensible stuff. For example, we've had this situation where every 12 months, the chair of the board has to put themselves up for election, and you can just envisage that doesn't really lead to great kind of continuity, that level of uncertainty. So moving the chair to a 3-year term and taking the opportunity to look at how we bring all of those sort of terms, make them more kind of consistent. So council members can now do 2 3-year terms, unless you're the Woodford rep, and that's different because that's aligned with their elections. And you can see some other points there. Again, I don't think there's anything massively significant. It's all kind of good practice, bringing us in line with best practice and the law. But if you do want to come along to find out more, we are having 3 governance drop-ins, 20th of May, 4th of June, and the 12th of June. Do come and hear a bit more, and if you have any concerns, do share those. So how can you have your say on those resolutions, both around the membership fee increase and those governance changes? Come to the AGM. That would be fantastic. Great to see you there. You can vote by proxy, you can ask the chair to vote on your behalf, or you can appoint someone else to attend the AGM and cast your vote. You can vote online, but also remember you can submit a question for the AGM as well, and we'll try and answer as many of those as we can. But you don't need to wait for the AGM. You can ask a question of us at any time, and we'll be really happy to answer. But you do have that kind of formal opportunity. Okay, quite a lot there, and yeah, we did it in less than half an hour. That's good. So I think it's open. Actually, I think there's another. Stop sharing, but there's another slide. Yeah, what that said was, talk to us about what's important to you. What are your hopes, aspirations, and plans? What's happening in your area of specialism, service, or practice? What ideas and improvements are you and your teams developing? What do you want to see more of from RCOT? How can we better support you? So a really broad range of headings, which really just hopefully kind of captures anything people want to say. So if you'd like to make any comments, then please just put your hand up, type something in the. Have we picked up kind of questions in the chat box? Yeah, Natalie, do you want to?
Hello.
Hiya.
Hello. Yes. Sorry, I'm joining you from my car, which is the way it goes
Brilliant.
today. Hello, everyone, and thank you for making time for us. I have been practicing as an ACP OT for a few years now, and my query is about. Well, I've been a member of the steering panel for the advanced practice with the OT group, but there isn't a lot of conversations around prescribing, which I know is a bit of a controversial topic to discuss. But I was wondering if there's any developments.
Okay. So OTs and prescribing, yeah. Cara and Nikki, between you, do you want to pick that?
Hi, Natalie. There are lots of conversations happening behind the scenes. The challenge that we've got is that will involve a change in the legislation to open up to new professions, and so that has to sit within the parliamentary timetable, and so far it hasn't come up. However, we are in conversations with Suzanne Rastrick and working very closely with other AHP professional bodies such as the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists around the fact that they are looking to take a slightly different approach so that it doesn't have to involve waiting on the parliamentary timetable for a change in legislation. So we think there may be an opportunity coming up with the announcement around the 10-year plan, and obviously we will respond. We are supportive of occupational therapists having this opportunity because we know that OTs have been blocked in certain areas from becoming ACPs because people mistakenly think you need to be able to prescribe. So we want that option. The other thing that we're doing around advanced practice for occupational therapy is we've been working with using funding from NHSE. We've been working with Coventry and Salford University to define advanced practice for occupational therapy so that OTs will have the opportunity to, if they choose to go down the route of ACP, or we can argue for advanced practitioner roles purely within occupational therapy. So there is a presentation, there is a global advanced practice conference happening next week on the 13th of May. We'll be doing a presentation at that, and I'm joining a panel discussion as well. And then we will be rolling out information around what advanced practice looks like for occupational therapy, because ACP roles shouldn't be the only way to get recognition of advanced level expertise and experience.
Okay. Yeah, I've in a tricky situation because I've had 2 job offers now that have been then rescinded because of the prescribing, and I'm sort of trying with the ACP lead in my trust to find what the way forward is for me as a clinician. Yeah, I don't know if there's any suggestions from the group as to what where I need to sort of be and attend. I have a lot of experience to share if that's helpful, or if
Yeah, and Leslie, I would I would post now that within the communities platform, if you're on the communities platform, I would post that question of where people have been able to be successful in arguing the case, because we know of occupational therapists that have been initially blocked from a role because they can't prescribe, but they've been able to argue the case for why they should still be considered for an ACP role. So I think that might be the way to draw on a collective wisdom there. I mean, even if we make advances in occupational therapists being able to prescribe, we are talking, this will take a couple of years to finalize and come through. So it's not an immediate solution.
So on the community forum?
Yes, I would join up on the communities platform, and Nikki could probably come in. She's probably trying to come in and add to that.
Yeah, no, but are you on there? Have you created your new RCOT communities account yet, Natalie? We can get you on there, and then you could create your new account, get onto the platform, and then in the leadership forum or practice network, and then you can ask that question. I think that's the right advice from Karen, and start the conversation. Though I'm sure you've had the conversation with lots of people on the Facebook group, but new opportunity to reach out to and connect with new people, and then we can get that insight. It'd be really good to get that conversation going, get some advice from your peers.
Very much. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that, Natalie. So Joe's asked a question about student fee changes. Let's bring this slide up again, actually. So I don't know if anybody here knows what our current student fee is, but I think in general, this is an increase of about approximately 4%. I think it's not standard across all the different categories. Yeah, Rob, maybe you can elaborate on that point.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, just to thanks, Joe, for the question. Just to answer that, yeah, students do start at a much lower cost base. So it's the 2024 fees were for students were about it's just over £61. So it's a much lower starting base than the sort of newly qualified. But in terms of the kind of discount for newly qualified, this was kind of responding to feedback from members and that sort of understanding that kind of compared to the sort of full price that those newly qualified members at the sort of beginning of their career just needed that that kind of transitional support between the price that students pay and then the full membership price. So it's a kind of transition between those sort of two different kind of prices to just manage that in that early sort of stage of the career. But in answer to your question, yes, students do pay a much kind of lower price.
Thank you, Rob. Anybody else that people would like to? Anybody else wants to raise a point? Tell us what's it like. What are the issues and challenges you're facing in your trusts, places of work? No?
Steve, just suggesting that you take the slides down, then we can see everyone again.
Oh, sorry. Brilliant. Well, we don't have to keep people from their lunch or queues of patients waiting to see them.